What is up, everybody? Brian Mendler back in your life, and we are going to try this again. There she is, Miss Kayla, and I think this time I'm going to be able to hear you. How are
Can
you?
you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yay!
And you have the little baby with you? Let me see.
I sure do.
Hi.
Yeah.
Wow. How is it? How are you?
I am great. She, of course, as soon as I was like, okay, Dan left for a church meeting, I was going to get ready for this podcast. Then you try to set her down and she's screaming. So I thought I'll just put her on. And now she's just happy.
And now she's just happy. So take me through the like the last month or so for you. Like, what's everything been like?
Okay, so for those of you, I'm going to back up even a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
for
go
those
far
of people
back.
who haven't been following along with our baby journey, my husband and I were trying to have a baby for 2 years, and we ended up going through 6 fertility treatments, and 6 failed, and then or 5 failed, and the 6th one worked. And so IVF, IUI, you name it, we tried it, and we got pregnant on our second round of IVF with a successful transfer, which is just crazy. Actually, Dan and I were talking about this last week, that her embryo that was transferred to me was frozen. Like, she was frozen at one point, and now she's a baby here. It's crazy to me. Anyways, so she had a healthy pregnancy. I mean, I was still throwing up every day, but it's kind of like crazy when you go through IVF. You're just so thankful for every symptom because it means that you're still pregnant. And like that anxiety of will I get pregnant just transfers to like, will I stay pregnant? And so really a healthy pregnancy, I would say. And then, yeah, we were supposed to have her, we were supposed to be induced on December 19th. And there was like an influx of moms having babies at that time. So we got bumped to the 20th, and then we got bumped to the 21st. And so we went in the 21st. And honestly, the whole process was so easy. Like, I joke about how, like, we went there, they hooked up the Pitocin. I was bouncing on a ball watching Hallmark Christmas movies, like laughing, eating my Jell-O cup. Like, it was so easy until it wasn't. Like, we labored for 21 hours and we pushed for 2 hours, and we just weren't making progress. Like, we made a lot of progress, and then we found out that she was stuck. And so she wasn't going to be able to come out that way. So we had to do a emergency C-section, which honestly wasn't as bad as what I was thinking it was going to be. I think like the recovery was probably harder and still recovering, but we had a healthy baby girl, and she arrived at 2:53 a.m. after a whole day of laboring. And yeah, she didn't need to go to the NICU or anything, which was just a huge blessing after sort of that distressful, labor. So anyway, so we were in the hospital for a few days, 3 days, and it also happened to be right around Christmas and Advent season. And my husband's a pastor. Right. And so he actually, Christmas Eve is like his Super Bowl, Christmas Eve and, Easter Sunday. And so even before, like, our original due date was Christmas Day. And even before we knew we were going to have her, like the 22nd, 23rd, I told him, like, you are going in and you are preaching because this is like a big deal for you in our church. And the only way that I wouldn't want that is if, like, I'm literally in active labor, that I would want him there. So he actually left on Christmas Eve for part of the day to go preach and work. And we watched Daddy from the hospital room. And it was just awesome. It was so cool. And then we came home, and it's been going great. I feel like she's teaching us so much. We're learning so much about, being parents and newborn parents. And people tell you you're going to be exhausted, but it's a whole nother level of exhaustion. I'm sure because you have a fresh baby at your house too.
I do. It gets easier though. I think it gets easier. Like, my son's 11 months now, so I think just as it goes, I mean, it's just nonstop at first, but every day, every week, they're a little tiny bit more independent and a little tiny more. And actually, my wife doesn't like it. She's trying to hold the baby a little bit back, being like, right, need me forever, right?
I'm curious. I definitely relate to that. I actually, like, on her 1-week birthday, I was standing in the shower, and it hit me like, she's already a week old. How's she already been earthside for 1 week? And I just started crying in the shower, and my husband My husband came into the bathroom afterwards and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm not okay.
No.
She's already a week." And like every single week that passes, I'm not ready for her to be done with her newborn clothes. I'm not ready for her to be, an infant and not a newborn anymore. So I totally get it. And it's all worth it. It's all worth it.
Yeah. And I'm curious, what you said earlier, when you go through such struggles trying to have a baby and then you finally do, I find it fascinating how you said like every symptom and everything that happened to you was actually a blessing because you
Mhm.
were you were kind of like, well, I'm feeling it. Did you feel that way right up to the very till she came out? Like so the
Definitely.
whole way.
Yes,
That's amazing
definitely.
what perspective does for people.
And I think that's probably like a good lesson no matter what you're going through in life. Like it was so hard for us to have her, so so difficult, and there were definitely times where we didn't know if I was ever going to get pregnant. And I said to my husband beforehand, like, if I am able to get pregnant, I am not going to be the one who complains about being pregnant or, looks at the worst parts of pregnancy and hates being pregnant. And it was literally a mindset. And yeah, being sick, I was sick almost every single day. There was actually in the third trimester, I think around week 28, 29, there was like 3 mornings in a row where I wasn't sick, and I told my husband, like, "This is freaking me out a little bit. Is everything still okay?" And we had one of those home Dopplers, so I hooked it up and heard her heartbeat, this strong heartbeat, and I was like,
Mm,
"Okay, it's fine. It's all
mm.
good." But you almost didn't wanna feel too good, like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, totally,
So
totally.
it is, I think, just a mindset shift about, like, going into it with the best positive attitude and just I loved being pregnant. I told my husband just a couple of weeks ago, like, I miss being pregnant. He's like, but is it worth having the baby now? And I was like, yes, but I miss being pregnant.
I know, I know, I know.
Yeah.
That's how it is. And it's interesting what you said about that concept. One of the lessons that I've learned in my life through addiction recovery is that if it usually, this isn't always true, but frequently in life, if it hurts a lot in the short term, it's usually really good for me in the
Mhm.
long term. And if it feels amazing in the short term, it's usually really bad for me in the long term. And a
Mhm.
lot of times things that are painful or things that I go through in my life that are difficult, oftentimes when I look back, I'm like, you know what? It makes sense I went through that, or I needed to go through that, or that was a healthy thing for me to go through because it gave me perspective, or it got me to learn a situation. Did you feel any of that?
Oh, definitely. Like I knew that the outcome was going to be so great. Like, and so it was okay that it was hard. And it definitely was. I think like we doctored for so 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 long at our reproductive clinic, and honestly, like all the appointments and the losses were just impossible. You've also been through some loss,
Yep.
and I would wish it upon nobody. It is the worst pain. It's awful, and you think like every single month it's like going through the grief cycle, like like bargaining and denial and like all of the steps, because you get your hope up every single month that this is going to be the month that you finally take a pregnancy test, it's positive, and then you see that it's not, and you're just crying on the bathroom floor. I can't even tell you how many times I just
Mm-hmm.
was a mess on the bathroom floor. And then you just pick yourself up and you go teach kindergarten or you go teach school because that's what
Right.
you
That's
do.
what you do.
And in actuality, I think that was like such a moving to kindergarten 2 years ago was like the best possible move that I could have done going through all of this treatment, because there is not a happier place to go in the world than a kindergarten room.
Hmm.
No matter what I had going on at home, no matter if I just had a negative test, I could go home or I could go to school, sorry, and just be surrounded with kids who
Huh.
loved me and joy for learning. And yeah, it's no accident that I ended up in kindergarten 2 days
Interesting,
ago.
interesting. So what specifically? Like can you give me some specifics, like some specific things where you kind of had a moment and then you went into your class and the outpouring and love and support just picked you up. What did they
Mhm.
do?
Definitely. So I'm thinking about like when we were actually going through our treatments. So we tried to get pregnant for a long time before we finally got, outsourced to a specialist. And so I think like getting my hopes up was just in part because our results were so good every month. Like I would respond great to the medicine. Um, and everything looked like better than it even could look, like amazing results at every appointment. And the doctor, I remember at one specific appointment, I think like we had like a chance to actually have quads or triplets because my numbers were so good and my husband's numbers were so good. And I remember the doctor looking at me and he said, well, this could be trouble. And I was like, what do you mean this could be trouble? Like that is like probably the worst thing that you could tell a pregnant lady who's
You think?
about to have an IUI procedure. I was like, what do you mean this could be trouble? He's like, well, I just hope you have a house with a lot of bedrooms because you could have quads. You could have quads in this pregnancy, like, or you could have triplets. And I was like, bring it on! Like we just
Right.
need any kind of
But
pregnancy.
I hate that. I hate that he would assume that would be a bad thing.
Also
You know
true.
what I mean? Right. Like,
Also true. Yes. So we ended up, I was thinking like he also said like at one point, you should be a shoe-in for this. Like for sure you guys are going to get pregnant on this.
oh,
And so,
I
I
don't
mean,
like that.
you just get your hopes up so high, right? Like even the doctor saying everything looks like we should get it right away. And so, yeah, that was definitely, I think that was definitely hard. That was probably one of the hardest ones because everything looked so great. We thought we were going to get pregnant. Like it's actually a trip where it was right before COVID really hit the United States. And I was actually speaking at a conference in Seattle. And actually, that's when the
I
outbreak was
remember.
happening. Yeah, the outbreak was happening in
In
Seattle.
Seattle. I remember that.
Yes, yes. And so, like, we had the procedure, and I got on an airplane a couple hours later to go to Seattle to speak. And I remember thinking, like, I'm going to be pregnant with a lot of babies, I think, and like you just get your hopes up to that point, and then finding out that not 4 babies, 3 babies, 2 babies, or even 1 baby, was conceived or, stuck with us. And so that was just, it's hard. It's like going through a loss every single month. And so I definitely remember that morning having our pregnancy test and going in the bathroom and taking the test and then coming out. And my husband was just waiting. Dan was just waiting in the bedroom to hear, the results. And I told him, like, we're not pregnant. And he said, you're kidding, right? You're kidding. Because it was like, he honestly thought I was like trying to joke with him. And it's like, I'm not. And we both just cried for a long time before I finally was like, okay, I've got to go to school. And so I just pulled myself together enough to drive to work. And as soon as you get to that front door of your classroom, like for me, this is what happens every single day, which brings me the most joy, is like being at the classroom door and saying good morning to my kids and their names and getting huge hugs. So that morning I got, 16 or 17 huge hugs at the door, and they didn't even know, that I was having a hard morning. It didn't even matter to them. Like they just did what they do every morning and gave me these huge hugs. And then at morning meeting, we have a morning meeting every day, which I know all about. But one of the things that we do is a share time. And that morning we were talking about like just how we were doing that morning. It was a Monday. How was your weekend? Whatever, like basic how you're doing. And I just told them, like, I'm having a really hard morning. We found out that our baby medicine didn't work, so we're not having a baby right now, and we got to start over. And my kids were just like an influx of affection and, like, I would say empathy and understanding in a way that it's amazing. Like 5 and 6-year-olds can really, I feel like, empathize in ways that sometimes adults can't.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I just remember that morning meeting too, and just feeling like this is a safe place. This is a place where, like, you and I both talk about all the time how, kids don't always just come to school for academics. Like a lot of kids come to school for love in my classroom. And as much as I work so hard to pour out love for those kids, like, they brought me through a hard time. They loved me through something that was really hard. And we had 5 losses before we had our success. But I think like that one for me just sticks out so much because of like the hype, like the expectations of it all, probably.
Yeah. you know, one of the strategies that I give teachers, and by the way, we're live on Facebook and YouTube right now, which I know it's the school day and I don't ever plan to have many people on live, but if you are live and you want to say hello, feel free, or chime in or say hi to Kayla. And if you've been through, you know, what she's been through, which I know is, I would say probably, I think it's most people, right? Like most, not what you've been through. Let me be clear about that. But most people have been through loss, right? Some type of loss, and understand miscarriage and understand not being able to get pregnant. And there's so many things that it's amazing sometimes when I look around the world at how many people there are. And I'm like, it's incredible how many things have to go right for a pregnancy to actually happen, right? To make it like all the way through. You know, we've had to ourselves, which has been, you know, an incredibly difficult thing. You know, we have 3 kids also, which we're incredibly blessed about and grateful for. But the empathy that your kid showed you, and what I love and what I teach teachers to do frequently is to not be shy about sharing your personal story and letting kids, almost like, we spend so much time taking care of kids, but we can flip that and get the kid to almost take care of us, right? You see a different level of buy-in from a lot of kids.
I would say, like last year, when I switched to kindergarten, the families were just outstanding. Like, maybe it's because, you know, we're switching to kindergarten, and for some of these, it's like first-time parents. Maybe it's because kindergarten's their first, you know, besides preschool, their first year in our school. Maybe it's just because, like, the families at my school are amazing. Again, this year they're amazing, and they were fabulous when I taught third grade too. But I feel like maybe the connection was even stronger last year because I was so open, because I had fertility appointments. And so, you know, as much as I could, I would take the appointment at 7:15 and hopefully be at school before the kids were there. You know, otherwise somebody covered my room for that 10 minutes or whatever. But I was super open with parents and just said, like, you know, we're going through IVF. And so my students knew that we called them baby shots. So they knew, like, how are the baby shots going? Because my stomach was just bruised. And not that they could see that, but they knew I was sore. And they knew that we wanted a baby so badly, and that we had all of these appointments. And so the families knew too. And when we, you know, had our loss in December last year, I definitely let parents know that too. And so I think, like, the support from parents and the support from the kids was just like above and beyond what I would think, like, I would expect probably. And again, this year, now going into this school year, being pregnant, the families also have just shown up in just huge ways, checking in, dropping off meals at our house. You know, like when I got Christmas gifts, baby got Christmas gifts. And every morning at morning meeting, when the kids would say, good morning, Mrs. Dornfeld, they'd say, good morning, baby. Like, everybody was just so invested. Kids would just come up to me, you know, during the day and just give my stomach a big kiss and then walk away and go back and do their work. I can't even tell you how many times that happened. And so it's really exciting, I think, for everybody. But I think that excitement stems from me being open about it all, you know, the losses and the excitement. I just had a mom last night actually just checking in because she knew I had a C-section. It's been 4 weeks, seeing if I need anything. Like, it's outstanding. But again, I think it's because of that, like, vulnerability and that openness. And I know not all teachers are, you know, okay with sharing so much personal stuff. But for me, I think, like, that's just part of the relationship that you know, like a true relationship, I guess.
Has that always been a thing for you? Like, have you always been able to do that, or is that something that throughout your career as a teacher you've had to work at?
I think back to my first, like, few years probably, and I think about, you know, all of the things that you hear about saying or don't saying, share, don't share, like, don't be a friend with a parent on Facebook, like, don't make it too personal, like, you are a teacher. That's really hard for me. That's really
yeah. I was gonna say, you're like the opposite of all of that. You're like, yeah, F that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's really hard for me.
with the people who say that, right?
Yes, that was really hard for me. Like, I think I tried to do that my first year, but I probably wasn't very good at it. I still talk with those parents, and those kids have graduated. They're in college now. Like, they came to our wedding a few years ago.
Right.
So I think I'm not great at that. I think I try not to overshare, and definitely, like, there's there's a balance, I would say, and not
Sure,
all families want to know that I'm going through IVF or really are invested in that part too. And that's okay. I think
sure.
it's just like it's kind of a give and take and kind of just like a figuring it out as you go. But I
Right.
am definitely more of like an open book, share all the things,
Same.
and that's just kind of how I think I've always been.
I'm the same. I feel the same way, and I agree. Like not everybody cares, and not everybody needs to know. And but it's the willingness. It's being willing to do that. And I think that some of us in education have to work on that because that's a component to me that I felt like when I look at like what do teachers who really connect with kids versus teachers who struggle connecting with kids, what's one thing that this one does that this one doesn't do? And that's one that often stands out to me. It's well, this one talks about like their struggles. I'm notorious for talking about how when I taught middle school and high school, every Monday night my kids had a homework assignment, and their entire assignment was to come in on Tuesday and ask me how my addiction recovery meeting went Monday night. That was it.
Mm.
They had no other job, and it counted as a homework grade, right? And so, like, I would walk into class, and Tuesdays was always my favorite day to teach because from like 15 different angles, I would get, yo, Mr. Mendler, did you go to your meeting last night? Yo, Mr. Mendler, how was your meeting last night? Hey, Mr. Mendler, how many people were at your meeting last night? Mr. Mendler, did you stay for your whole meeting last night? Hey, Mr. Mendler, anything that you learned at your meeting that you could teach us? And the thing is, there was never a meeting that I would go to where there weren't things that I could pick, where I picked up, where I was like, actually, yeah, like I can teach you. We talked last night about this thing called the windshield, which is a reminder that in life you have to go forward, right? Now, the truth is you want to glance back where you came from, glance. That's why they have rear view mirrors in cars for glancing, right? But if you ever drive in a car and you stare in a rear view mirror, bam, you're going to crash every single time. And a lot of times in addiction, people relapse because they're staring at the past, at people that they hurt, at people that they did inappropriate things to, or money that they lost, or items that they stole from someone. And they get so caught up staring at the past that they're not able to go forward. And I think that's a great line for kids. Like sometimes it's nice when a kid is like staring at something their parents did, or something that somebody said about them on the computer, something somebody said in the lunchroom, or something that happened on the bus, to have a little phrase where you can look at a kid and be like, hey, the windshield. Come on, you got to go this way. But more importantly, it was that whole concept of, wait, you're in addiction recovery? And then it was always, every time it would be, Mr. Mendler, can I talk to you for a second? Yeah, what's up? My grandma, man, she's a mess. You think you could help her? My uncle, my cousin, right? Like the level of opening up that the kids would do to me, right? Once I created the environment where vulnerability was good, right? It's sort of like the leader of the room. I'm going to create this environment where vulnerability is good. We're going to do it. We're going to see how it connects us. And once I'm willing to do that, whoa, it's crazy what you see happen with a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree. It actually reminds me of when I was teaching second grade. Again, like the morning meetings, like I just keep going back to that, but I think it's so critical. Like there's, 4 steps. The first is greeting. So every single person gets greeted. Every single person gets eye contact. Every single person gets their name said that day. It's just like a recognition even that they are here. Like that happens every single morning. And then the share time, like at the beginning of the year, I definitely tell kids like today you're sharing and it's like very low risk, like your favorite food or your favorite color. And then like as the year goes on, we'll just do like an open share. And if it's like sometimes I'll have kids come up and sign up to share and they tell me like they run it by me, what is it that they are going to, share ahead of time to just make sure it's appropriate for the whole class to hear. Because kids share everything.
Yes. What's your favorite? Have you ever had one? I'm just curious. Like, have you ever had one where you're like,
Oh
what?
my
That was
gosh.
so great for you to tell. You know who I love? I love on Instagram, Mr. D's Times, because that's what he does. His whole Instagram is just like the things kindergartners would say to you,
Unprompted, yes.
with his facial expressions behind it. He's hilarious.
Oh, definitely. Like I try to write down all like funny things that happen every single day just so I can remember them. Like, yeah, his is like unprompted things my kindergartner said this week. And they're just so true. It's so hilarious. Like I can think of probably like one of the most meaningful was actually Yep, when I taught second grade and we were just doing a share time, he had signed up to share. And actually, his parents had told him the night before that they were going to get divorced. And so he
Oh,
came the next morning and it was probably December in our classroom by then. And so, like, we had really established, like, just that safe classroom and, like, everybody can share anything and, like, such support and love. Like, that's exactly what I tried to do in my classroom is just normalize being okay with loving each other, make that the norm, right? And so I think about him telling us at morning meeting that day after his parents told him, and him being, 7 or 8 years old, and telling his class, like, it was so hard for him to even get started. And then he told them, like, I just wanted to let everybody know, like, if you see like I'm just kind of down today, or if I'm quiet, or if I just start crying, it's because my parents told us last night that they're getting a divorce. And I know that there's some other kids in here who also have parents who have gone through that. And so I just wanted to share it and just maybe, hear from you what happened with you. And so, like, it just became this whole, like, community rallying around him. Even kids who didn't come from a home where parents were divorced were so supportive, because again, the empathy piece, when you allow kids to be vulnerable and you just make that the norm, that we're going to just lift each other up and love each other through things, like, that's to me when, like, the coolest stuff happens in education. It's like, it's all that, like, social, emotional vulnerability, connecting piece. Like, don't get me wrong, I definitely cry when my kindergartners start reading, or, like, they know how to do sight words now. Like, that makes me cry because I'm so excited for them. Like, the academics of what happens in kindergarten is amazing every day. Like, it's crazy growth every day, and it makes me so excited, and it makes me tear up. But I think for me, like, the progress of developing humans emotionally and socially is, like, it's the best.
totally agree. And you're as good at it as it gets. For those people that are listening that don't know, Kayla is I think the only educator that I know who invited her entire class and previous classes to her wedding. So, and they all came, which is the craziest, right? I love that story about how they all came. And the weather was bad or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like, it was worse than it is today. We're in another blizzard warning today, Brian. We were joking last night because he's like, it's gonna be sunny and what, 74?
74
Today in Florida. And I was like, well, it's gonna be in the 20s above zero here, which is really warm actually for January. But we've had, like, so many blizzards in January. It's just been crazy. So yes, it was April 12th, and I did invite everybody to come, even people from my old school district in Minnesota. They came in the blizzard. School was canceled, and they were there. And it's so funny. The venue that we had a kids buffet that had chicken strips and mac and cheese, and we had the adult buffet that had, like, fancy pasta bar. And the people who work at the venue said we have never had this many kids ever, because there was just so many kids. And
how many kids were there?
Oh my gosh, over 100 for sure.
Over 100 kids.
I'll have to look at we have an awesome picture. It was our first dance, and we are in the middle of, like, the spotlight, and all of our students are in circles around us, like, that runs deep, trying to watch us have our first dance. It was so cool. So awesome. I would do it again and again. I mean,
of course.
Let's renew our vows and invite everybody again.
Have your students from this year met the baby yet?
They haven't, only through pictures. With all of the craziness of our numbers in North Dakota are for COVID insane right now. Like,
the numbers everywhere are insane. That's why we need to just stop counting them and move on with our lives. Yeah. Everyone needs to just move on with their life at this point. It's to the point where it's everywhere. It's like that. At least from what I'm hearing.
It is here too, and it's crazy. And so I want to bring her, but I also don't want to expose her if I can't.
Of course.
Everybody don't have to. So we sent a lot of pictures. I sent a lot of pictures, and of course, some videos and things like that too. But I'm so excited and ready to bring her when a doctor says it's good. Then we'll go.
Yeah. What's your plan? Are you going to go back?
Yep, I go back the last week of March. So I take 12 weeks, which I am so grateful that I am able to take the full 12 weeks. And then I go back at the end of March, and I'm already, like, I'm so excited to see them, and I already cannot even imagine what they're going to be doing in March compared to when I left them in December. Because, like I said, kindergarten growth is amazing. What happens like every single day or every single week. So I am so excited to see them, and I still get lots of messages and pictures from the teacher who's in there right now, and then sort of like my paraeducator. She's got hilarious text to me every day about exactly what you were saying, what happens in kindergarten. Like, we have one boy specifically who at morning meeting loves to like throw out random facts that he thinks he knows. And sometimes they're true, and sometimes he looks them up on Google and she's like, that's not true at all, right? But one of them this last week, she said, he told us that I think it's ostriches have like three stomachs or something. And she looked it up and she's like, sure enough, it was true. He drew this ostrich and cheetah for you. Like, that's just exactly the stuff that I'm missing. But I'm so grateful that I have, people who are still sending me those things and sharing that with me. So
Yeah. I feel like in this day and age, though, it's just easier than it ever has been to stay in touch with people. And, so do you pop in on Zoom or on however? Have you ever done that? Or you
yes,
kind of, yeah,
definitely. Yep. So we'll
they
do
must
a lot
love
of
it.
Zooms, FaceTimes, as much as we can to just be able to see each other. I also I try to just send lots of pictures and videos to my sub so that she can just share it at least once a week, because Riven is just like, oh my gosh, she's like mouth wide open right now, snoozing on me. She's just changing like every single day, every single week. She looks different, and what she does is like crazy every week. And so I just try to send a lot of updates so that they can see, because they are so excited. Obviously, they're so pumped. So yeah, I
Yeah.
try to do it as much as I can.
Do you miss it though? Or do you miss being in school, or are you able to really just revel and relish the time with her, or is it a little bit of both?
A little of both. I would love to say I have the perfect balance, but I don't. Like, there are definitely, like, just thinking about things coming up, like Valentine's Day is coming up, and that's like my favorite holiday. And so all the stuff that I do with that, and like the wedding celebration of the letter Q and U, and like that, I'm gonna miss that, like I'm gonna miss that this year. But also, my job right now in this role right now, what I'm being called to do is to be home with her, and just I'm just soaking it up. So, not to say that I don't miss it, because I do, and there's still definitely times of day where I think like, okay, it's 11:41 right now. My kids are getting done with lunch. So hopefully they're getting all their winter gear on. Like, and then I start thinking about that, and I think they've got it handled. They got it. Me thinking about it isn't helping. So I just gotta like, let go of that and just focus on being in the present. And so that's something I try to redirect myself when I start, thinking about it too much. So I am just so grateful for that I can be home with her and,
No question.
soaking up all of it. So
My wife was saying before I came on with you that she said she's not going to want to go back. And I said, no, I don't know. I said, Kayla's this person who just, you're different. Like you bring this incredible energy. And my wife was like, no, but you don't understand. Like, once you have your baby all the time, you want to be with your baby all the time. And I was like, I don't know, how that is. I was curious though to ask you, you're a very spiritual person. Your husband obviously is a pastor. And I know, like, I follow you closely on social media, and I know what you post and how you post it. I'm curious though, like, was there ever any times where your faith was shaken through the process,
oh,
where you really were tested? And what about your husband's, because he lives that world, that's his world that he's in every day? Was there
yeah.
any time where he was just like, what the F do I have to do in order to make this happen? Like, where you were down and depressed and sad,
Mhm.
did that ever happen with you, really?
So for him, no, but for me,
Interesting.
definitely. Like last December, after we found out like our one embryo that we were supposed to have, our little girl last Christmas, it wasn't viable. I wasn't going to be able to carry her to a full term, so it's just we lost that baby, and that was so hard for me. And oh my gosh, I was so depressed. Like, it was our Christmas break. I was in bed. I was just crying. I wasn't eating. I was like so sick, like the worst depression that I have had.
Wow.
And I have been trying to talk about that more, because loss and, infertility and miscarriages and all of that is not talked about as much as it should, I would say. And like just normalizing that, I think kind of along with mental health, like normalizing talking about anxiety and things like that. And so I definitely last Christmas was just like an all-time low in my faith, like trying to talk myself, like my three mantras are like God is good to me, God's good at being God, like repeating those things to myself, like, but it felt like I was being punished. And I was so sad and just like distraught that my body, like as a woman, your one thing your body's supposed to be able to do is like have another baby or
Yeah.
like conceive a baby, and I couldn't. And so I definitely just felt like broken and like left
Right.
out. And definitely I would say like that was probably my hardest point in my entire faith, was like this is the wish of my heart, like this is what I've been praying for, this is like we've gone to all the appointments, we're doing all the things that I think we're supposed to be doing, and it's not working. And you do feel like I'm being punished, like I failed some kind of test and I just need to figure out what I need to do better. And it took a long time to like dig myself out of that. And I would say we went back on December 31st, about 5 days later, because our doctor wanted to see us for like a follow up. So we went in, and the doctor said, like, we still think that you're a great candidate for IVF. And I basically, like, I sat there, I was a shell of myself. My husband was like way more open and probably a much better listener than I was at that appointment. I was just still so distraught, I would say. And, she said, we still think that you can do this. We still think you're able to have a baby. Like we don't know why this isn't working. This is why you're unexplained infertility, which by the way is like the most aggravating label that you can have, is like, this isn't working, but we don't know why.
Is that what your infertility is? It's
Yep.
unexplained. They like literally look at you and they're like, we have no idea
Yeah.
why you're not getting pregnant.
No, it's unexplained because on
Oh my
both
God.
sides we should be pregnant. And so I remember looking at them and saying, like, if we're doing this again, we're doing something different, because it reminds me of school. Like if you have a student who's you're doing this like this whole intervention with them and it didn't work, you're not just going to do the same intervention again and hope that this time it works. Like you're going to change something to hopefully help this child learn. And so I said that to her. And so we changed the medication. And goodness, I read this book, like I binge read this book at like 11 p.m. till 5 a.m. on a weekend, called It Starts with the Egg, and learned about all these supplements and things that I could take. And so we did some different things the second round, and had, much better success that second round. But after all of that, I think like a lot of faith is if you're not doubting, you're also not having faith. You can't have faith without having doubts at some point. Like if you didn't have doubts, you would have no reason to have faith, because you would be thinking that you're in control of everything. So faith really is like being able to recognize that you can't do it and that you're not in charge. And I think like without the doubt, you don't have the faith. And so I definitely doubted for a long time after that fifth cycle that didn't work. And knowing that like that little girl that we were supposed to carry is just, it wouldn't work. She wouldn't make it, probably make it even past 8 weeks. So that was just, it was hard, but I definitely wavered for sure.
Yeah.
My husband, he didn't. Like you said, though, that's his job. He's
But
a pastor.
still. I mean, I can't imagine how challenging just internally there had to be. I don't know. Like, I'd like to ask him that, because I get it. I get it that he didn't waver outwardly, but I wonder internally if there was any point where he just, shook his head and was like, what do I, and more for you than for him, more for you, because you're, it's so crazy to me how I feel like in my life, everybody that I know there's a few people that I know, Emily Pascal. So I don't know if you know Emily Pascal. So Emily was on my podcast. She talked openly about her struggles getting pregnant and how she was not able to get pregnant. And same thing you said, right? Feeling left out and feeling like I'm a woman and this is what I'm supposed to be able to do in my life. And the struggles. And I feel like for some reason, there are some people in the world who are the best human beings, right? They have the greatest hearts. Like Emily Pascal should be able to have 15 kids. Like she's one of, I don't know if you ever had any time to talk to her, but she's one of the most kind, compassionate, caring. She reminds me of you, like the same kind of human being that you are, right? The kind that I would leave my child alone with in a heartbeat, right? Having met you in for 5 minutes. Like there's certain times you meet a person and you're just like, right? They've got like this energy and this spirit, and for whatever the reason is, right? Like why those people? Like why do I know some people who shouldn't be allowed to have any kids and they have 5, right? And then other people are struggling to have 1, and there's no rhyme or reason for it in the world. There's no rhyme or reason. And I just love what you said so much about faith, right? Like or about you, like if you don't say it again, because you said it so beautifully.
Well, I just think like you can't have faith without doubt.
Without doubt, correct.
Yeah, because you have to be able to rely on something outside yourself. That's what faith is, like so that you're not in charge of everything. And if I learned anything from this infertility journey is like, there's so little that I can control. Like there's just so little. I can listen to the doctors. I can try the things that they're saying. That doesn't guarantee that we're going to get pregnant. Even when the doctor's saying like, you're a shoo-in. I hope you have a lot of faith.
It makes me so upset. Like, so I don't believe in stuff like that because I'm superstitious. I'm ultimate. Like I played sports and stuff, and like you just don't like. There's certain things you don't say out loud. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I know, like when you were asking for prayers and through this whole thing, I'm not a huge prayer. I'll be honest with you, but I would pray for you, right? And what I would say to whoever I was praying to, because I'm not always sure, is I would say, give her 2. Right? Like give her 2. Like if you could somehow give her 2, give her 2. Like she's one who should get 2. Right? But for the doctor to imply that would be a bad thing, I was praying for that for you.
We actually did request transferring 2. And they said no for my body and no for the health of the baby. So sometimes I do transfer more than 1, and I tried, but they said no. And now having 1, I don't know how I would do 2. I'm sure we would do 2, but I don't know how I would do 2.
I know. There's a kid in my daughter's class. So my daughter's in 2nd grade, and there's a kid in my daughter's class. So I was talking to the mom. It was at pickup. I was talking to the mom, and I was like, oh, I didn't know her at all. So I'm like, oh, how many kids do you have? And she was like, oh, I have 6. And I said, what? And she said, I have 6. And I said, you have 6 kids? And she said, yeah, I have 6. And I said, oh, and she said, you haven't heard about the triplets? And I said, no. And she said, and there's a set of triplets in the 2nd grade class. And she's the mom of the triplets. And she has 3 older kids. And so they had 3 kids. They were done. She was telling me this whole story. They were done at 3. And she said, we had an oops, and the oops turned into triplets. And she's like, now I have 6. And she drives this like massive van around. It's absolute insanity. I know. Like, can you imagine that? Like I say that to my wife. I'm like, imagine having 3 waking up throughout the night. Like,
yeah.
How do you even live? She's like, and I asked her, she's like, you just do it.
I'm sure you just do it.
Yeah. She's like, you don't have to
say. That's what people say too. Like you just have twins, and that's what you expect, and that's what you know. And I'm sure it would just be such a huge blessing too to be able to have twins. And actually, there was a point there where, like I think I've shown you probably our embryo, and I know I've posted pictures of our embryo, but like she was already breaking, like blasting out, they call it, like a blast. So she could have actually split into 2 after the transfer, and so there was a chance she would end up, as twins. And gosh, I started showing with my pregnancy at like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and
I know.
And my numbers were so, like my beta test was so high. And so we were looking up like the numbers for if you were having twins, because for a while there, we thought we were having twins. And then on our first ultrasound, it was just showing the one, the one baby, the one sac. And I remember asking him like, are you sure? Can you just double check his back? Because I feel like there might be more than one here. And he's like, no, there's only one. But we will take one very healthy, happy baby.
Yes, for sure. How are the? I apologize, I forget their names. Your bonus kids. You call them your bonus kids. How's that been?
They are so in love with her. Like it has been awesome. I think the ages of them is perfect. Svea is 11, and so she's almost like babysitting age. So she's just obsessed. even if I'm just, sitting on the floor and I'm nursing or something, and then I need to like hand her over to Dan, she's like, I'll do it. Can I do it for you? Like, she just wants to help with all of the things, the bath time, the diapers, even. Like, she wants to learn all of it.
She just made her first noise. I was going to say, she can't always be this quiet.
She's not. She's waking up. And Kieran, he is a 9-year-old boy, and his energy level is like 1,000 all of the time. Kind of as I would guess that you probably were as a kid. Yeah. He wakes up ready to karate kick and like somersault across the house. He just has so much energy, and he also has just been outstanding with her. Like he holds her and says like, you're the most beautiful girl in the world.
Wow.
He comes by and gives her drive-by kisses on the head. Like, it's been better than I could have even hoped for or prayed for with them, and the adjustment of all of that, because that is definitely something Dan and I thought about. Like, they're going from being having all of our time and having all of our attention to like a newborn baby who needs a lot of time and a lot of attention. And so I know you and I have also talked about, love languages, and like Kieran's love language is quality time. So as much as I can do just quality time with him, especially like playing games, or he loves to draw, or listening when he wants to tell me about every Monsters Legend monster that there is, like giving him quality time has been amped up as much as we can. And Dan and I kind of divide and conquer that. And Savea, she loves like physical touch. So anytime we can snuggle, or, she also loves quality time. So spending time with just me, or me and baby, is also good, but she loves physical touch. So anytime we can spend some time together and snuggle up, she loves that too. So I think that has also really helped us kind of hone in and focus on how these kids like to be loved at home, and, really do a lot of that.
Yeah. The same concept with kids in school, right? The concept of quality time, of you don't have to spend your entire day with a kid, but can you give them 2 really good minutes of just conversation, or making them feel like they're the only one in the room, right? That you're talking to, or that and you're listening to everything, even if it doesn't make sense, or even if it's annoying, or even if it's in the way of something else. That ability to do that, I don't think is easy, but it's incredible how powerful that is.
Yeah, I think about, my kids who I know have quality time as their number one language, is definitely like, those are the kids who, that they are the kids who have that as their number one, because they are the kid who you turn around and they're right there. Mrs. Dornfeld, something to say, something to share, something that they brought from home, and they're right there all the time because they want to be with you. Those are the kids that I try to do a lot of, like, at recess time when I'm on duty, like play with those kids, or when I have a free lunch, have them come in for a lunch date and just sit and spend the 15 minutes with just them, listening to all the things that they want to say. And so definitely you can identify quality time probably easier than some of the other languages when you're in school, for sure.
No question. Well, listen, it's incredible how fast these times go. And not just these times. I mean, the 45 minutes that we're spending together, but also times with your baby. And life goes quick. And these 45 minutes went really quick. When I haven't done a podcast since, I was telling before we had our technical difficulties, I was talking about how the last podcast that I did was right after Thanksgiving with my son's teacher who quit. So my son's teacher, who's in 4th grade, quit the day before Thanksgiving. And I just wanted to interview her to understand, like, why are people quitting and what's going on in our profession. And, then I took a break from podcasting for a while, and I was thinking, like, who do I want to have as my first one back? And I really, the thing is for me is I like doing these more where it's just somebody that I want to just talk to, like who's somebody that I want to just talk to. And you are top of my list. So I just want to say thank you for always having an amazing energy and a positive smile, and always being a person that I feel like, will lighten up other people's days. And you do that for me, and I think you do that for a lot of other people. So thank you for all that you do. And you're an amazing person, an amazing mom. And I'm getting emotional. I'm so incredibly happy for you. And you have a gift that will be arriving at your house from the Mendler family soon. It will be there in early February. Every person that we know that has a baby, we get them the same gift. So it's a really cool gift. I think it's a really cool gift. But we don't get it before the baby. We have superstitions about that. So now the baby's here and the baby's home. I'm like, okay, we can get it and send it. So
All
be on the
right.
lookout for something from us.
Yay!
You're gonna like it.
I'm sure I will.
All right. Yay. Thank you, Kayla. It's always good seeing you. We'll stay on and keep chatting a little bit, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Everybody else, don't forget to rate, subscribe, download, review. I'll be back with you same time in 2 weeks. Until then, I say peace. I'm out of here. All right. Let's end this. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.